Hello, Greek students. Welcome to week 3 in our class. Hopefully by now you've found yourself that you've been getting into a little bit of rhythm with respect to this class, with respect to studying vocabulary and paradigms and sort of figuring out how things work in this class. So not too many surprises, not too much new this week, but this is what we've got going on here as far as our objectives for the week. We're going to introduce what is called the first declension. So last week we talked about the second declension, a group of mostly masculine and neuter nouns. The first declension is going to be a group of mostly feminine nouns. I say mostly in all those occasions because declension does not directly relate to grammatical gender. Though it sort of has a normal correlation to grammatical gender. That is to say, most first declension nouns are going to be feminine. So if a noun is in the first declension, you can pretty safely expect it to be feminine, but there are exceptions, and we'll be taking a look at some of those this week. So second declension, remember, largely masculine and neuter nouns. First declension is going to be largely feminine nouns. The other thing we're going to do is introduce what is called the definite article, namely the word the. In English, Greek only has a definite article. It doesn't have an indefinite article. So in English, we use both the and a or an. Greek only has the definite article. So some grammars will actually only call it the article. So we'll look at some of the sort of peculiarities of the Greek article and then also the forms of the Greek article. And those forms are going to be your primary memorization task as far as grammar goes this week. This is the only thing that you will be asked to reproduce on the grammar quizzes is things from the definite article paradigm. So that's where you really want to focus your energy for this week as far as memorization goes. We're also going to introduce Greek prepositions and adjectives. And when I say we with respect to prepositions, I mean the black grammar. We will not be dealing with prepositions or the introduction of prepositions in the videos for this week. So make sure you sort of pay special attention to that in your reading from the black grammar for this week. We will be, however, explicitly dealing with adjectives in the lecture videos for this week. And then lastly, again, with respect to the adjective, you'll be learning the syntax and the uses of the Greek adjectives. So this is one of the things that will show up on the grammar quiz as multiple choice questions, questions about how the Greek adjective is used and sort of different forms of it, but you won't be asked to reproduce any paradigms with respect to the Greek adjective. So as far as what you should be doing this week for grade items, as always, completing the homework assignments. This week for homework number 1, there's going to be separate discussions in the forum. So here I write separate forums, but what I actually mean by that is that I will start a separate discussion for each number in the homework assignment so that you will go to one thread for question number 1 and you will read aloud the Greek of question number 1 and then type in your translation. And then you'll do that for each of the different threads for the 5 different questions in the homework. And what this will do is it will allow us to sort of, in a long list, compare how we translate the different questions differently. And that may expose some places where there's things that have been missed, or it may also just expose ways that we sort of conceptualize the language different, because translation is not it's an art and a science, so that sort of we can have different translations and more than one be, strictly speaking, right. Homework number 2 is going to be more individual, less communal, so it's just you doing it on your own, turning it into a Dropbox. And then, as always, for both of these, you get credit either by attending a synchronous meeting on Monday or by watching those answer videos and doing some self-correction of your own work, either in the forum if it's number 1 or in a document if it's the second homework assignment. Then there's the vocabulary quiz. So our vocabulary is beginning to mount now that we are in lessons 5 and 6. One of the things that Black's grammar does is it puts a heavy emphasis on vocabulary, which can be a good and a bad thing. But so there is a bit more vocabulary this week. And then lastly, completing the grammar quiz. As I mentioned earlier, the only paradigm memorization that you need to do for this week is of the definite article. So by the end of the week and before you take the grammar quiz, I would encourage you to be able to write the entire definite article paradigm, all 24 forms. There's going to be 24 of them. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks in the videos for maybe to help scaffold your memorization. But be able to write that out without looking back to your notes. And as a reminder, always on the grammar quizzes, you can use your whiteboards and you can use paper so long as you bring them into the quiz blank. I ask that in the quiz you do kind of recall from memory and that you're not engaging any materials, but you can write down the paradigm and then look back to what you have written down to fill out the quiz. And I would advise you to do that because, at least for me, writing by hand these things I tend to be a lot more accurate and I tend to remember better when I do that than if I'm just typing. All right, so I will see some of your readings and your answers in the forums, and you will see me in the videos and the answer key videos as well.